Whenever you ask me what my favourite Transformers series is, what my Transformers toy line is, I immediately think Beast Wars Season 1. Beast Wars Season 1 came out with these brilliant toys, and some of my favourite toys ever to come out of Transformers. This is the original Beast Wars Cheetor, and that was my first eBay purchase. I've been wanting to get a Cheetor for such a long time. So in 2019, when I was a bit older, I started an eBay account and I used that £5 discount to get my first ever Cheetor toy. And over the years, I've realised that Cheetor has actually become my favourite character, and with Beast Wars Cheetor being my favourite toy ever. So I did set out on a mission to get all of the Cheetor molds, all of the Cheetor repaint. So I've got the original, I've got the Telemocha, I've got the retro Tigatron, I've got the beautiful Shadow Panther, which has that beautiful silver on his mutant head, and finally, I did make a custom of Night Prowler. So this is one of the cancelled toy lines from the Transformers universe. Night Prowler was originally meant to transform into a snow leopard, and he did later on release in Legacy as a repaint of obviously Cheetor, but all 5 brilliant toys are not the star of today's show. Let me just introduce you to Lobster Warrior. This is obviously one of my missions to get every single version of the Cheetor mold, and the knockoff was not off the table. Why is he called Lobster Warrior, you may say? So first and foremost, let's take a quick look at the packaging. Now, whenever you think about Beast Wars as well, you think about that epic guitar riff, and feast your eyes on BSAT the Wars, Fight for the Victory. This is the back of the packaging. Well, it features Beast Machines Cheetor. Very bravely, they have Transformers written there. Very, very brave. In the front, you've got some 10-year-old dirt. Their mission, to keep the peace. The highlight, the absolute highlight of this box is the back, where we get treated with some sort of mix and match of character names. Some they got right, but some they got really wrong. So first off, White Tiger Warrior, that's Tigatron, that's fine. Rhinoceros Warrior, that looks like a red version of Optimus Primal, our boy. Lobster Warrior, Black Ops Warrior, Fast Knife Warrior, Crocodile Warrior, Bees Warrior, okay, that makes sense. Rhinoceros Warrior, where they did feature Threading 30 Rhinox alongside Fox Kids Rhinox. And then, I really want this, to be honest. I did talk to the seller about this on, I did ask them if they had a yellow version of it, and they gave me a pink one, which we'll talk about later. So, Bees Warrior and Chimp Warrior. So I think what's really happened here is that these characters here were not the only Beast Wars KO they ever made. So Fast Knife Warrior, I think, is a mistranslation of Quick Strike. So they've translated Quick Strike, Google Translate, into Chinese, and then translated that Chinese version of Quick Strike back into English. Yeah, obviously this was meant to be Quick Strike, and then they just kept the name in that box, and then they just put Shadow Panther in there. Lobster Warrior, I think, is one of them Tripredacus Council ones. That should be Lobster Warrior. The rest sort of work out. Rhinoceros Warrior, I don't know why. This is Rhinoceros Warrior and Rhinoceros Warrior here as well. I love this packaging. Fight for the victory. BSAT the wars. Specifications, colours and contents may vary from illustrations. So let's put this packaging away and take a look again at Lobster Warrior. Lobster Warrior here seems to have a paint job based on the Telemocha Cheetor, surprisingly. My Telemocha Cheetor doesn't have a gut gun. Telemocha Cheetor has the fanciest paint jobs out of all the Cheetors. I was getting this online. I was sort of making a gamble on whether or not I'd end up with this nicely painted version or a version I'll show on screen now. As you can see, these two share a lot of similarities. Like Lobster Warrior looked like a squished version of Telemocha Cheetor. Like obviously his cheeks are smaller. Like he's being squished, like, oh, he's so cute. More or less, it's very recognizable as that character. There's missing gold here as well. The faceplate is, I think, based on the original Cheetor toy. So let's bring that Cheetor in for a second. They both share darker paint jobs, but the KO Lobster Warrior does have a darker, a muted tint to it. So let's just take everyone off to a side and just look at Lobster Warrior. Now, Lobster Warrior here looks like an exact replica, or they tried to, of the original Cheetor. It might not be the case for all of these characters, but it is for Lobster Warrior. So Lobster Warrior shares all the articulation of the original Cheetor. His arms, albeit being really loose, are on ball joints. Well, if it's not holding the gut gun, it's fine. So he feels a bit cheaper, like he has a little bit scrawnier arms, but other than that, that is Cheetor through and through. Strangely, he's wearing a Tarzan cloths, because that's not painted and it's cheetah spotted. It looks like one of those loin cloths that Tarzan wears. Turning him around, there's nothing really special to see here. Everything remains the same, and fortunately the ball joints don't shear off because of the original Cheetor's thickness in peg. The gut gun looks the same and it works the same as well. The little tail is slightly loose, but it clamps onto the barrel super tightly. Now the KO gut gun does look smaller, and it is not made out of that squishy plastic that the original gut gun is made of. It's got screws in the front, so it's made of absolutely hard plastic. So this one, get that really nice mutant head. Legs kick out, legs bend down, and then he has, thank God, that thigh swivel that allows him to fully transform, which we'll do now. I'm just going to quickly transform him in camera to show you that this guy actually works. And then watch me jinx myself as he snaps in half in my hand. But he does work, and he's super fun. He's got a sort of similar problem as Telemoka Cheetor, in which like these arm panels don't really fill in the void behind the head. Like that. It sort of has that little look. Rotate the butt and then fold the legs down. And there we have Lobster Warrior. Now the tail plugs in perfectly fine as is. And then this one, just a bit different. Like this one, because it's hard plastic, you have to slide it onto some rails that are inside his tummy and give him his little gut. And there we have Lobster Warrior in his lobster mode. That's obviously not a lobster mode. It's obvious here now. If I bring Telemoka Cheetor in for a comparison, this Lobster Warrior is obviously based on Telemoka Cheetor. Moving on, Lobster Warrior, go to the back. Next, let's stay on Season 1 of Beast Wars as we talk about Rhinox. Now, Rhinox here is an unfortunate victim of a few cuts in sort of price range, I guess. One of the first things you might notice is that he's missing that middle split in his head, and that's because he doesn't have a normal head, which was what the cartoon based the head off. He's only stuck with the mutant head. Rhinox here is also missing his sort of thigh cut that allows him to have this part. Oh, the foot is very easily removable because of the ball joint isn't the best connection, but he is missing the thigh cut that would allow, you know, sort of the feet to turn around. So this is the front of the foot. His little thingy here is the front of his feet. You might have noticed that Rhinox here doesn't look like his original counterpart, and that is because I think this is based off the Fox Kids Rhinox, but they've made a brown version of Fox Kids Rhinox instead. Unfortunately, unlike Cheetor, I don't have the original Beast Wars Rhinox. I cannot compare him like I did with Cheetor. And I got this Rhinox to test out like what Beast Wars Rhinox was like. Rhinoxes were always like super expensive in my opinion. If they weren't, they were missing a tail or some other piece that would make him an incomplete rhino. Articulation again, his head rotates, his shoulders rotate like that. He has a ball joint at the forearm. His hip skirts move up. His legs, as mentioned before, are missing that thigh cut, but the hips are on ball joints. And then his legs, instead of bending backwards, bend forwards because the thigh cut is not there. Rhinox's spinning gun is missing the actual rotating gimmick. I think the original had some rotating gimmick. These flails are stuck on. He's holding his tail still. And let's just pull the tail off and get into transformation. And one of the problems with this KO Rhinox, he is a pound. So as you can see now firsthand, the parts don't stay on as good. Getting his arms in this position is not an easy feat because, as you can see before, like they keep on popping off. And I really like this part of transformation actually. Like this part that reveals the side of his rhino head is really smart. So I do look forward to getting the official one. Moving that forwards as well. Like overall, I really like how the whole rhino mode comes together. And I just think everything here is really smart. and the plastic is flexible enough so you don't really snap things off and still peg into where they should go. That completes the back of the Rhino mode, and I really like that. But unfortunately, because these things don't attach, this cannot store in Rhino mode like the original toy. So let's just straighten his legs and just take a quick look at the Rhino mode itself. You get sort of an appreciation of the Fox Kids, paint apps, of that really nice stripe detailing and his little mascara here. It adds so much character with that simple paint app to the original Rhinox toy. After Rhinoceros Warrior, let's take a look at Rhinoceros Warrior. This is an upscaled version of the Optimus Primal toy, but it's done in that Onyx Primal color scheme. So instead of gold, he has silver in places. But I think he still has that silver faceplate that the original had. We've seen the cut of a thigh cut on Rhinox, but now he doesn't have what made most of Bat Primal good. He doesn't have that ball joint, and he doesn't have that spring-loaded gimmick as well. So when you turn him to the back, that recognizable lever thing on the back of Bat Primal is not there anymore. I was holding two yesterday. One just fell on the floor and I never found it. But it stores like that, like the original. The shoulders are on ball joints. The elbows are on ball joints as well. The legs kick out like that. He feels like he's made of cheaper plastic because he just took a shelf dive. One of the thigh ball joints just snapped. So I did drill a hole through that and just glued it back together. It looks fine right now. Over time it'll snap off again, but thank God there's a pin inside now. For transformation, it's super simple. The original was super simple. This is even simpler. Just do that and there you go. That's like the only thing, because you took out that spring gimmick. This is what we're left with. Obviously, you can, because the legs are on ball joints, sort of angle them like that, and then tuck the legs under the wings like so. So it looks less obvious that he's a man in Bat. His mouth does open though. This is good, because the original on mine is missing the little mouth. You sort of get an idea of what that exclusive Onyx Primal would look like. And that's pretty cool in itself. So let's put that to the back and finish off our Beast Wars Season 1 cast with Pink Waspinator. This pays homage to the Thrust color scheme. There's that Collector's Club exclusive where it's half Waspinator painted and half Thrust painted, and that looks super, super nice. But now we're stuck with a full pink Waspinator. All these characters, except for Onyx Primal and someone else I'm going to show you later, are the same size as the originals. In Waspinator's case, fortunately, they retain all the articulation as the original. So the head is on that ball joint, and if you lift that wasp head up like that, and you sort of untab the front portion and the back portion as well, like that. Very surprisingly, they've included the mutant head. Well, this is the mutant head, this is the original head. So they've included the robot mode head. So flipping that upwards and closing it back up, we get a very nice pink Waspinator boy. And he looks like he's doing a bit of a smirk as well. Although if it was really Waspinator, he'd be crying. The wasp head here is looser than the original. But speaking of the wasp, let's just transform him. I'm going to keep the robot head upwards like that, and then just do all the transformation steps. So one side of the wasp head is tighter on the slider than the other, but they're both fairly easy still. I do really like the pink on this wasp, like it looks really special. Like I don't think I've ever seen Waspinator in this color scheme. So there we have pink Waspinator in his robot mode, and I really like the pink. It's not something I would expect, but I like it. And he comes with these two missiles as well that look like they fit onto the original. So yes, so this fits perfectly into the original. And let's shoot it off as well, because it's £1, so that missile is like 1p. I'm going to hold obviously my hand on the other side and just shoots off. Shoots off perfectly. So if you're missing a missile, just get a knockoff Waspinator and just put it into the original Waspinator's gun. This thing is not spring-loaded, but it still slots into his butt perfectly fine. Yeah, so the stinger faces outwards and that slides in and snaps in place like that. And there we have another beast mode done. Now these next ones are unnamed, or So let's just call them like Penguin and Lion, because it's Lio Jr. if you've seen it in the back. Now, when did Transformers make a penguin, you may ask? Let me introduce you to Beast Wars Neo, where Break is one of the rarest shell formers ever to be made and one of the hardest Beast Wars Neo toys to get. And Break here, he's the front runner and he's the most like energetic one, I think. So he needs a toy in my collection, and I just couldn't find a Break. I just couldn't find a Break. So I just ended up getting a KO. So he does lack a few things that Break does, but all in all, it's a very good representation. But poor Break here is actually a pretty good toy. And all the joints, because I've not messed with them yet, are still quite nice and tight. His wings are on ball joints, his head is on a ball joint if you see from the top. His little legs are on ball joints as well, so pretty good stuff in general. And I do actually want to get the original Break, because once you see robot mode, you'll see that it's lacking some paint apps and some functions as well. So to get to robot mode, open up his belly. There we have Break in robot mode. No. Yeah, well, yes and no, because he's a shell former, so basically unfurl the entire toy. This hinge is pretty nicely done as well. Once you've opened him, just lift his legs downwards like that, rotate it, and then just work around the sort of shoulders areas. So they're on hinges right here, so just lift the shoulders up so. Yeah, so there we have Break in robot mode. And all in all, this is a pretty good representation of what Break looks like. I did spray his arm white to sort of closer represent the toy, and articulation remains the same as the original Break, apart from one key part, and that is his head is not on a ball joint, but it does fill in a hole in my shelf that needs to be filled, so that does its purpose. And last but not least, let's take a look at the last KO. Welcome Simba. Simba. Right, this is not Simba, this is Lio Jr. He is an upscaled version of the original toy that makes up part of Magnetboss, and here he is with his father. I got him because I got Lio Convoy back in Legacy, and then Tasmania Kid was coming out in Legacy as well. Right off the bat, you might notice that he has a really scary face. Most of Lio Jr. is there, but he has teeth etched into his mask that makes him look sort of creepy. Other than that, he is missing a Magnetboss head inside his chest. I'm going to open it now so you can see it. Normally, that would be Magnetboss's head, but it's not there in this occasion. But since we're here, let's just show off the articulation. The shoulders are on ball joints, and then, yeah, they're pretty much the same, but slightly loose. One of the different things as well is originally Lio Convoy comes with a tail axe, but this version, he comes with something that really resembles Cheetor's tail gun instead. Like, originally, I'm pretty sure like he holds this thing like that, and he like hits people with it. But in this version, it works the same as the tail gun, minus a hinge, where you just lift it, and yes, that is just Cheetor's tail gun. So there's a ball joint in here, and his little Simba legs are pretty good heels as well. So because he's got such a big backpack, that's the main of the line, he needs those heels, and those heels work out perfectly fine. Now, everything works the same, and I don't have the original Lio Convoy. He's pretty pricey as well, so I did end up just trying him out by getting the KO. And I do like this head transformation bit. So that head rotates like that, under, and then the lion head comes up like that, I think. Right, but before you fold the head in, the shoulder portions do come in very nicely together, and they tab in fairly well as well. And then the head folds into the cavity, and then the lion head just sits there waiting for the mane to clamp over it. And he doesn't look like it. He doesn't look like that originally, right? He doesn't look like a beady-eyed little lion cub, does he? Move the legs downwards like that, and then clamp it around the head, putting the mane over that tab, and then just close it up like so. Fit the back of the mane onto the back of the lion head, and then just close it back up like that. And there we have little Lio Jr. in his bigger lion mode, and then just peg the tail in to complete the look again. And that's pretty cool. You know, that's pretty cool to have a lion, a cheetah, all the lions together. Whenever you think of dollar store Transformers, you think of those galaxy shifters from Poundland with those really cheap plastic. But fortunately, with these 6 characters, it sort of evades that fate of being cheaply made, and I think end up being really durable toys. So that's it. Do you have your own dollar store Transformers in your collection? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for watching. Please check out my video. I'd really love it if you'd subscribe. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and goodbye.